Jimin and Jungkook face an emotional challenge. As members of BTS, Suga, Jimin, and Jungkook have experienced an incredible journey in the world of music, but behind the stage spotlight. They also face various emotional challenges that test their mental and resilience. All three have different characteristics, but one thing in common: they have gone through difficult times together and support each other. In recent years, there have been many moments that show how they have struggled with pressure, workload, and ever-increasing expectations. From Suga dealing with injuries and mental recovery, to Jimin always trying to balance his emotions, to Jungkook growing from a quiet teenager to a more mature figure. All of this becomes part of the story of their journey. Let's take a deeper look at how these three BTS members deal with emotional challenges in their career journey. Suga, known for his calm personality and rational way of thinking, has gone through difficult times that are rarely talked about in public. One of the biggest challenges he ever faced was his shoulder injury, which required him to undergo surgery and take a long break from BTS activities. This injury was not only a physical problem, but also had an impact on his mental state. Suga once shared that he felt guilty about being absent from the group and not being able to perform on stage with his colleagues. In one of the interviews, he admitted that the recovery period was one of the most emotional periods in his life. However, thanks to the perseverance and support of the other members, especially Jimin and Jungkook, Suga managed to come back stronger. During the recovery period, he focused on music production and continued to work, showing that even though he could not perform, he still made a great contribution to BTS. As someone who is known to be soulful and expressive, Jimin is often the most open about his emotions. However, precisely because of his sensitive nature, he also often faces great pressure, both from himself and from public expectations. Jimin has spoken about his hard times dealing with stress and work pressure, especially when he felt he wasn't good enough or was afraid to disappoint fans. He has had moments where he has felt very emotionally exhausted, but he has always tried not to show his sadness in front of the cameras. However, what makes Jimin strong is the support of the other members, especially Jungkook and Suga. They are often the place to lean when he feels overwhelmed. On several occasions, Jungkook was seen calming Jimin down, while Suga gave him words of wisdom to help him feel better. Jimin also found strength in his music. His emotive songs are a reflection of his feelings, and he often uses music as a way to channel his thoughts. Jungkook, who joined BTS when he was very young, faces different emotional challenges than his two taehyung songs. He must grow and develop under the public spotlight, which is not easy for a teenager. Early in his career, Jungkook was often seen as quiet and tended to observe more than speak. However, over time, he began to face the challenge of finding his identity, both as an individual and as part of BTS. There were several moments where Jungkook seemed to struggle with the pressure to always look perfect. As a maknae, he often feels he has to prove himself and give his best for the group. However, as he once revealed, there were times when he felt overwhelmed by high expectations. However, the support from Suga and Jimin greatly helped Jungkook on this journey. Suga often gives him wise advice on how to deal with pressure, while Jimin is always there to provide encouragement. Now, Jungkook has grown into a more confident person, and he is more comfortable expressing himself. From a quiet teenager, he is now a strong and mature figure who remains humble and affectionate towards other members. What makes Suga, Jimin, and Jungkook's emotional journey even more special is how they are always there for each other. On various occasions, we can see how they support each other, both on stage and off camera. When one of them is feeling down, the other is always there to provide support, be it in the form of words of encouragement, a hug, or simply a calming togetherness. Their friendship has passed various tests, and despite the challenges they face, one thing is certain: they are never alone. The ARMY has always been a part of this journey, providing endless support for the three BTS members and helping them face any challenges that come their way. Over time, the story of Suga, Jimin, and Jungkook continues to evolve. They face challenges, but their bond grows stronger. Any difficulties that come along become proof that they are not just colleagues in one group, but also a family that supports each other in any conditions. For Suga, music has always been his refuge. After recovering from shoulder surgery, he focused more and more on producing songs with deep meaning. Many believe that some of the lyrics in her solo songs reflect her inner struggle in dealing with the pressures of life as an idol. In one of the interviews, he revealed that speaking through music is his way to overcome emotional difficulties. In fact, after returning from his hiatus, he still showed his dedication to BTS and ARMY by releasing heartfelt songs. Although Suga is known to be calm and sometimes looks indifferent, he is always a place for other members to lean on. Jimin once said that Suga is someone who gives advice without judging, something that is very valuable when they face pressure from the outside world. Jimin is someone who is very expressive, and that also makes him more prone to feelings of sadness or anxiety. In recent years, however, he seems to have found a way to accept himself better. When BTS went through a transition period with hiatus and military service, Jimin still showed his strength. He did not hesitate to talk about his emotions, something that brought him closer to the ARMY point. One of the heartwarming moments was when he talked about how the support from other members helped him through difficult times. Jungkook, who has been close to her for a long time, is often the one who calms her down when she feels anxious. Jimin also increasingly dares to show who he is. In his solo songs, we can feel how he channels his deepest emotions, a form of therapy that helps him better face life's challenges. Jungkook has probably experienced the most changes of the three. From a shy teenager who always followed Hyung's direction, he has now developed into a confident, strong, and has his own voice. His emotional journey is not always easy. He often feels overwhelmed by high expectations, but over time, he learns that perfection is not everything. With guidance from Suga and Jimin, as well as other BTS members, he was finally able to feel more comfortable being himself. Jungkook has also shown his protective side towards the members. He is often the one who calms Jimin down when he feels stressed, and he also listens well to every word of wisdom from Suga. Now, even though they are all serving in the military, Jungkook still shows his mature side. He is no longer the magne who always follows behind, but someone who can stand on equal footing with his Hyung and provide the same amount of support. BTS is not only about music, but also about deep friendships. Suga, Jimin, and Jungkook are vivid examples of how true friendship can help a person get through difficult times. In every challenge, they always strengthen each other. When Suga was injured, Jimin and Jungkook continued to provide moral support. When Jimin feels down, Jungkook is always by his side. And while Jungkook feels overwhelmed by the pressure, Suga and Jimin make sure that he doesn't face it all alone. Although they are now serving in the military, there is no doubt that their bond remains strong. Once they return, they will remain three best friends who support each other, share laughter, and face new challenges together. The ARMY is always there, witnesses their emotional journey, and provides endless love. BTS's journey is still long, and despite the challenges ahead, one thing is certain: Suga, Jimin, and Jungkook will always walk together. Suga, Jimin, and Jungkook's journey in dealing with emotional challenges is not an easy one. But they have proven that with each other's support, they can get through tough times and rise stronger. They are not only talented idols, but also individuals who have real stories of struggle. What they have experienced shows that behind great success, there is hard work, sacrifice, and the irreplaceable support of sincere friendship.